Alright, Shalom, Kal Halal, La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Ruach HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, who I learned this truth from. And salutations unto you brothers and you few sisters that do take heed, coming back once again through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Alright, I'm going to start off with this article here. Alright, I found online from Global News. It says Satanic Temple to hold first Black Mass in Canada. This was published August 7th, 2019, last week. Down here it says it's a controversial ritual with a gruesome history, but Canadian members of the Satanic Church say a Black Mass isn't anything to be afraid of and call it an expression of personal liberty and freedom. Right? So these devils, man, they're slick with it, you know? So basically, you have the founder of the Church of Satan, or the Satanic Church, Anton LaVey. He's pictured here, right? This guy, Anton LaVey. And his main influence was this guy right here, Aleister Crowley, which if people are in the know or know anything about these, this kind of thing, you would know that this guy's a real demon, And this guy's such of a demon that even his own mother named him the Beast, okay? So again, this guy Anton LaVey, an Edomite, clearly, he's the founder of the Church of Satan, and this lesson is to show the importance of, staying within the tower of the Lord, staying within His understanding, His realm, so to speak, right? Because you have a lot of different philosophies, and not only philosophies, these philosophies are very dangerous because they bring spirits with them. This is one thing we always talk about with holidays and venerating certain traditions and customs. It's not just empty things you're doing. You're not just beating the air, man. You're drawing up spirits, to yourself, to your home, to your family. So, again, going back here, right, this is how big this thing is, right? And Anton LaVey, he basically said, he termed Satanism as not as the so-called, traditional, satanic, evil church, or people. He basically made it seem like, look, we're just people expressing ourselves, and we believe in liberty and freedom and to do whatever you want. Again, a lot of influence from Aleister Crowley with his law of Thelema, which is do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, meaning be wicked as you want, do whatever lewd acts you want, etc., etc. All that's going back to is the garden, where the serpent, which was a man, told Eve, listen, you can do all these things, you can follow these other customs and laws and just do whatever you want. That's what it all goes back to, right? It says that freeing expression is found in the blasphemy, explained Nicholas Mark, the national coordinator for the Satanic Temple in Canada. He has been running the group out of Ottawa since 2016. Mark is also the organizer behind the ceremony, which will be held in the capital on August 17th, right? Which we're coming up 2 days. What is Black Mass? Or I'm going to read this. To the Satanic Temple's knowledge, this will be the first organized public Black Mass in Canadian history, Mark told Global News. What is Black Mass? How to perform a Black Mass depends on whom you ask, but there is one element that most experts agree on. At nearly every event, there is a desecration of Christian symbols. It's not meant to be an attack on another group. It's supposed to be cathartic for those who practice it, said Mark. Essentially, it involves using traditional symbols and inverting them to create a ritual that is meant to be the opposite of traditional mass. So basically mocking the Lord, right? Mocking the Lord and basically mocking His Son, That's what it's about, right? That skull that they carry, different societies, they have the skull with the bones, right? That's to mock the Lord. Why? Because He was crucified upon what mountain? The mountain of Golgotha, which mountain or Golgotha means place of the skull or skull. There's certain little tidbits like that they use to mock our Lord, man. Right? But the history, legends, and rumors behind said ritual appear much darker. Dating back centuries, there are stories of demon worship deviant sex, consuming a black host, blood or urine in lieu of wine, and even child sacrifices, which 100%. And in this day and age, these things still go on, but you can't have it in the public masses. But these things happen, man. This is all part of it. What you just read about demon worship, deviant sex. So what happens in the Bohemian Grove, man, when you have a bunch of multimillionaires and billionaires, politicians, investors, presidents, CEOs, businessmen, entrepreneurs, all meet up in the redwoods of California, the forest. What happens, man? They do all kinds of lewd acts, man, right? They have lewd sex with each other, with men, They like it says about the piss and the shit. Even watch The Good Shepherd, man, with Matt Damon. That was about the Society of the Skull and Bones. The Skull and Bones, man. You gotta bathe in shit. You gotta wrestle in shit. They piss on you. They do all kinds of lewd things, man. Consuming a black host, blood or urine in lieu of wine, and even child sacrifice. Child sacrifice, that was normal back in the ancient world, and it still happens on a very mass level today. On a very, very grand scale, man. Where do you think a lot of these children go missing? There's hundreds of thousands of kids that go missing yearly in the United States, man. Right? Same thing with the Gada Native American women that go missing in Canada. When I did the research on it years ago, there was information about that guy Picton, who was I would say he was like a recruiter for the higher ups that they use on the black market, or they do satanic sacrifices. There was evidence of that for years. The RCMP they've been getting tips, which is like the federal level of policing in Canada, which is, I guess, in turn would be like this FBI in a sense, But they've been getting tips for years about these things occurring, Picton and all these. They never acted on it, man. It's all a backdoor thing, They use you for sacrifices, or they use you for the black market for your organs, etc., man. The scripture says we are prey. We are killed all the day long, man. These curses have overtaken us and consumed us, man. So again, in the ancient world, that's who you sacrifice unto. You sacrifice unto Molech, which Molech today is represented by the owl, man. Again, in the Bohemian Grove, I forget how many feet. I believe it's 20 to 30 feet, if not more. You have a big ass owl. Which, what the hell is that doing in the woods, man? Again, that's going into child sacrifice. Right? That's child sacrifice. According to British historian Richard Cavendish, who studied occultism and religion, black mass was written about more often in fiction than in real life. Which again, they use these things to try to, depreciate, the truth. Right? Or depress the truth, but these things are well known. Okay? So let's go to Ciroc 33:1, right? And again, all these things, like, because a lot of our Israelite women, they're getting into that stuff. They may not call it Satanism, but they're getting into witchcraft and magic and all these certain things. But you gotta really know what the hell you're doing, man. You really gotta know what you're doing. I was one time I was at the herb store, and at the herb store, they also sell stones and crystals, and basically on almost the same parallel line as witchcraft, certain things, But this Jake woman came in there, this Israelite woman, and she was all in black, and I already could tell she's a witch. I looked at her, and I got that sense. The spirit told me she's a witch, and she looked at me, and she glanced away, and she went into the stone and crystal section. So this thing is big, man. A lot of our women practice it. All these things is that they exist, demons and spirits and all these things. But you have ways of the other nations. You got to know what the way of your nation is, because the Lord hath created all these nations, and He has set their ways. So the nations, they have their knowledge and their understanding that they deal with. The Israelites, we have our knowledge and our understanding and wisdom. All right? Verse Ecclesiastes 33:1, there shall no evil happen unto him that feareth the Lord, but in temptation even again he will deliver him. See? So the Lord might tempt you, which again, I always go back to that word. Tempt in the Greek, it means an experiment. The Most High will try you. Throw this obstacle, throw that obstacle at you, but he will deliver you out of the same, because it's meant to build you up spiritually. Verse 2, a wise man hateth not the law, but he that is an hypocrite therein is as a ship in a storm. Basically, you're all messed up, man. You're ready to be taken, right? Verse 3, a man of understanding trusteth in the law, and the law is faithful unto him as an oracle. Prepare what to say, and so thou shalt be heard. And bind up instruction, and then make answer. The heart of the foolish is like a cartwheel, and his thoughts are like a rolling axle tree. Because, you've been around a fool. They just spin circles all day in their mind. Yo, I'm going to come up with this scheme, and I'm going to do this, and fuck, man, why isn't this happening? And they're just clowns, man. They're just fools, because it's just like they're like a hamster on a wheel all day, man. Talking about the same shit. Okay? It says, verse 6, a stallion horse is as a mocking friend. He nigheth under everyone that sitteth upon him. Why doth one day excel another? When as all the light of every day in the year is of the sun, right? But the knowledge of the Lord, Salakia, verse 8, by the knowledge of the Lord they were distinguished, and he altered seasons and feasts. See? So why is every day, it says, why doth one day excel another? When every day is just the sun coming out, basically. But guess what? The Lord, he distinguished them. See? It says they were distinguished, and he altered seasons and feasts. So every day is not the same. You got the Passover, which is the high holy day. You have certain high holy days, the Feast of Tabernacles, right? Feast of First Fruits, right? There's certain days. Hanukkah, that's the celebration time. So every day is not the same, man. You got certain days that are very high and mighty in the eyes of the Lord. He distinguished them by knowledge. Again, the nations have their things, man. They have their special days, which we know in reality is just false gods that they worship. But let them be, because in the kingdom they're going to worship the Lord. That doesn't mean you got to get into that. Oh, that looks cool. That looks awesome, man. That's wise. Majority of what they do, like it says in the book of Matthew chapter 6, they do it to be seen of men. Make vain repetition, man, right? Verse 9, some of them have he made high days, right? Again, Pasach, the actual day of the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is a week, that's precious in the sight of the Lord. Some of them had he made high days and hallowed them, and some of them had he made ordinary days, right? Hey, man, like in the ancient world, you worked, man, you did your regular thing, and then when that time came, it was a special thing. It was a special occurrence. In this kingdom, you guys want every day to be party day. Every day is a special day, man. So every day is not. Every day you gotta mostly just work, man. Keep your head down, keep quiet, and do your work, man. Okay? You guys want every day to be like your damn birthday, like in the songs. Every day's got to be the day, right? That's not how it works, man. Because it's all about balance. You can't just give your brain pleasure all the time, man. You got to know what bitterness is. You have to know what discipline is. Hard work, man. Verse 10, and all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of earth. In much knowledge, the Lord had divided them and made their ways diverse. So all the nations, their ways are diverse, and the Most High divided them. He didn't join them. He didn't create a union of nations. Okay, he divided them, man. All right. And if you get stupid, verse 12 clears it up. Some of them hath he blessed and exalted, and some of them hath he sanctified and set near himself. What sanctified means holy. But some of them hath he cursed and brought low and turned out of their places. So that's just the Lord, man. That's what he can do. And he can do it because he's the Lord. The Lord doeth whatsoever pleaseth him, man. That's found in the book of Psalms. This is Proverbs 5:1. My son, attend unto my wisdom and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. Now, this is going into other philosophies when it's speaking about of a strange woman, because the philosophies and customs and the so-called knowledge of the other nations is compared unto a woman, a fine woman, a beautiful woman, and as it says, her words drop as on honeycomb, meaning it's sweet, man, it's smooth, it's slick. And them other philosophies, for a moment, especially if you're not a prudent man of the Lord, it will grab you up, man. Case in point, polite, man. He makes it sound smooth and slick and pretty and intelligent. But it really holds no substance. There's no matter to it, right? All it is just emptiness, vanity at the end of the day, man. Okay? But all these other philosophies, man, that people get swindled by, the flat earth theory, that sounds too cool, man. That just sounds awesome. For whatever reason in your mind and your spirit, and you just follow after that. Right? If you're in that Semiramis woman spirit, that's just smooth and cool. Man, it's important to stay in the tabernacles of the Lord, man. Okay, verse 4. But her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword, man. It's like that Venus flytrap. Cut you in half, man. It looks pretty, and that shit'll eat you up. Verse 5. Her feet go down to death, her steps take hold on hell. Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life, her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. Hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house, lest thou give thine honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel, lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of a stranger. See, when you bow yourself and talking to you Israelites, to these other nations' philosophies, you're destroying your own self, your own nation, and you're just building up them. You're building up the other nations, man. When Israelites are in Islam, you guys are just destroying yourself, man. You guys are destroying yourself, and you're building up the other nation, Ishmael. Right? That should not be so, man. Okay. Verse 11, and thou mourn at the last, when thy flesh and thy body are consumed. Even Mike Tyson, he said he went to prison, and they asked him, were you really serious, Mike? Were you a really devout Muslim? He said no. He said that was just a prison thing. That was a prison stint I had to do. You get good food in there, and he was, but he looked passionate. He was drunk with that wine, man, the wine of Islam. It says, verse 12, and say, how have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof? And have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined mine ear to them that instructed me. Which a lot of you guys, you don't acknowledge your teachers, the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, man. Them men have been out there for decades, man. Putting their body on the line as a sacrifice, living sacrifice, man. Teaching us men. And you guys turn around after 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I know more than these guys. You guys ain't... You guys aren't true disciples, man. You're stiff-necked. You got to learn, man. It takes time. And then you still got to be up under the men. Because you're never, I graduated, I'm over the apostles now. No, there's still order, man. And Jakes hate that shit. Right? So you're not a true disciple. To be an apostle, you got to be a disciple first. To be a disciple, you got to be a novice first, man. An apprentice. Verse 14, I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation and assembly. Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well, which our well is what? The Most High. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, man. His oracles, which is this word. And the Lord comes in the volume of the book, man. So this is what we got to drink out of. We can't sip out of some other shit and, this is cool. And then you're going to mix it and hybridize it. No, just like the Lord said, you can't mix seeds. You can't mix seeds together, man. It's got to grow in its own vineyard. You can't mix the grapes with the pears and the watermelon, and you can't mix all that shit, man. The Lord's not with that. Verse 16, let thy fountains be dispersed abroad and rivers of waters in the streets, which is this truth, and it is in the streets. Let them be only thine own, and not strangers is with thee. Let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth, which is these scriptures, man. This is the wife of our youth. This is what we came in this truth with, man. And we gotta, Lord's will, if we be of that number, we gotta be delivered with this. We can't mix anything with this, man. It says, how are you going to mix wood with fire, man? This is pure fire. You can only mix gold and silver and other precious metals and stones with that. Let her be as a loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. And why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman, and embrace the bosom of a stranger? For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord Yahweh, and he pondereth on all his goings. See? So we got to be ravished with this woman, our own woman, not with a strange woman, meaning other philosophies, all right? So I hope you brothers get that. I want to say, Kal halal Yahweh ba'ashem Yahushai ba'ashem Ruchak Wadash, the belongings to the apostles of GMS, who I learned this truth from, and salutations unto you, hopeful elect, may Yahweh ba'ashem Yahushai increase your faith. Lord's will, unto the next one, I say shalom.